been hearing this morning about, and looking as well, let's face it, at the pictures about how far architects have got when it comes to working on plans for a new stadium for the Sky Blues. The football club has asked the architect firm AFLS&P to draw up designs for a new 12,500 seat ground. The first images have been published of what it might look like, artist impressions, if you will. Lots of fans have got in touch with us this morning, say that they'd rather know where any new Sky Blues home will be built, and a lot of the people getting in touch this morning have been sceptical whether these plans will actually get off the drawing board at all. Some people saying they're just another negotiating ploy when it comes to the war of words over a possible return to the RICO. Martin Rogers is an Associate Director for the Architects and joins us on the show. Martin, thanks so much for your time this morning, for being with us.
No problem at all, sure.
Did you, I mean, I don't know whether you followed the story, did you realise as an architect firm what you were stepping into? I suppose there isn't such a thing as a non-emotional football engagement for you, is there, I guess?
No, not at all. We've done a lot of stadiums all around the country, and emotion on every stadium is always there at all times, yeah.
When we're looking at these pictures this morning, I mean, they are just really, what I guess, artist impressions, are they?
No, they're based off a design that we've been developing for the club. So what you'll see is an artist's impression of hopefully how the fans will see the ground as they approach it when the ground's built in the future.
And tell me, give me some of your I sound like I've joined the world of architects now and designers. Give us your sort of thoughts, your ideas. What were you trying to achieve with these buildings?
I think what we were looking to do, we were looking to try and take obviously a retro approach to a stadium, but also looking at incorporating contemporary materials and contemporary new construction techniques in providing a ground for Coventry City.
We've seen the two photos, Martin, and fans have been quick to point out this morning that the bottom one does look remarkably like the Rico Arena.
It definitely has been. We definitely didn't look at the Rico Arena for a design. As I say, we're looking at a contemporary design going forward. I think what you will pick up at football stadiums, you will recognise elements from the stadiums, just due to how a stadium is actually designed. But no, we have taken the new approach to this design.
Well, I was going to say that you are a little bit hamstrung, aren't you, in a way? Because I mean, if you turn up to a meeting with your clients and say, well, actually, we've gone for a radical design and we've decided not to have grass in the middle anymore, you're probably not going to get very far with that. You are quite constrained, aren't you, by what you can and can't do?
No. I think if we missed the pitch house, I think we'd be asked to leave the room. So yes. I think it is important, just talking about the pitch, we are looking at the design to actually keep the fans as close to the pitch as possible. And as you see by the roof design, it's designed in a way to keep the atmosphere within the arena. I think there's been stadiums that have been designed in the past that haven't achieved that, and we want to ensure that it's important going forward. And again, it's back looking at days gone by, is how atmosphere was generated in grounds. We want to keep it within the ground.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a close-knit space. I mean, it's only got 12,500 seats, hasn't it, really? So initially, it is going to be quite a small ground, isn't it?
No, the design is actually there to show a future expansion to the actual stadium itself. The club have asked us to look at the initial capacity of being 12 to 13,000 seats, but the stadium can be adapted so they can be expanded to 21 to 23,000 seats in the future.
This is this modular design, isn't it? Which, as I understand, this is the future of building these kind of structures, isn't it? Now, just give us an idea for how easy that is to just sort of pop new modules onto these things.
It's the way that it's important the structure and the design of the stadium is done correctly to start with, and then this allows for the flexibility to expand in the future. Yeah.
And is it easy and cheap to do that? I mean, and it kind of suggests just a one-way traffic. I mean, presumably you can't take bits off if you hit harder times, can you? Or can you?
I think the club have looked at to start with the capacity they think is appropriate for the club to start with, and then I think the idea is to have the ability to expand in the future with increase the capacity.
While I've got you on, it's quite interesting. There's another conversation going on about football grounds today. I don't know if you're up to speed with this at all. This idea that some fans groups now are calling for standing areas in grounds, and of course everybody immediately thinks about Hillsborough, over 10 years ago now, where there was it nearly 15, I think, something like that, isn't it? Where there were just terrible scenes, and as a result, we now ended up putting seats into stadium. I mean, you've got expertise in building football grounds. What are your thoughts, Martin? Is that workable? I mean, should the Sky Blues be looking at that as an option and thinking, well, what about the future? Do we need a standing area?
I think there is a lot of debate about standing within ground, and fans do like the situation to stand, and again, going back to this idea of generating atmosphere. I think if you look at the continent now, Borussia Dortmund being a big example, where they have large standing sections within the grounds. It's the way that the actual stands are designed, which allow for the ability to. There is seating in place that is then clipped up to make sure then that if the requirement is to allow for standing, they can then stand within the stadium.
I just wonder whether, the thing that immediately came to my mind was, do you remember when Ryanair did that publicity thing where they said, we're going to have passengers standing, and it was like a kind of like a back support sort of thing. It was it wasn't a seat. It kind of came out the ground and that. And I thought, well, I wonder whether there's a place for that, so people have got a designated place, but they're still actually standing up.
I think if you mentioned about Borussia Dortmund, it very much is on that principle. There is a seat location there. Then there's a bar which then goes up higher up, which then allows for the fan to be standing behind a bar. And it's not like years gone by where the bars were in the stands were quite a distance apart from each other. They're literally on every row. So it is a debate at the present moment in time.
Have you ever designed a stadium before where you've had the fans' input? Is that something that's happened?
We always look to get fans' input in regards to stadium designs as well. Yeah.
And is it usual that you produce artists? Because I was saying to Mark Lapovich earlier on this morning, it's unusual to me. It seems unusual to me that you want fans to have an input into what it's like, but then you go ahead and you produce artists' impression. It seems putting the cart before the horse a little bit.
Different approaches and are taken different ways for different stadiums and different clubs. So sometimes the artist impressions are produced beforehand, and then obviously a football stadium is a large item, and there's a lot of areas where the fans can be involved with putting their input in as well. And I think, as we've mentioned within the press release as well, we're looking at a fan zone as the fans approach the stadium, where we'll be looking for quite a bit of input from the fans on that and what they would like to see around the stadium, as well as what's going to be part of within the stadium itself.
I know it's only an artist's impression, as I say, Martin, but I just wonder what a rough idea, back of a fag packet calculation. What's the cost of what you're proposing? What kind of?
I'm not in the position to be able to provide that information. That would be something that the club would actually provide for you.
Well, you design it. I mean, you got to know, wouldn't you? Do you not know? Or I mean, not that particular one. Then, so if I came to you and said, "All right, I want a 12,500 seater stadium," what roughly would I be expecting to spend?
Again, it depends on the specification of the stadium.
Well, just a middle of the road specification then.
You're looking up somewhere around about the 15 to 20 million pound mark.
15 to 20 million quid, and that'd get me. That'd be all in for an average run of the mill. Nothing fancy, nothing too poor.
No, as I say, it depends. It is all dependent on the specification.
Yeah, sure.
In regards to that, and that's ballpark figures, and obviously that depends on the construction costs at the time and what's actually required within the stadium as well. And as we said, within this design also, the club are looking to create a community hub, which the stadium won't just be there's there for the football, which is used for 25, 30 days of the year, but the facilities will be used after that. So again, there's a lot more costs or relationships to what other development goes within the stadium itself. So it's very hard to actually put a figure on any stadium.
Sure, just a rough ballpark. I think you give us an answer and gives us a rough idea. I think fans wanted to know. Keith sent me a text. He said he wanted to, some idea, some thought of how much it would cost. Have you ever designed a stadium for a client before where they had a perfectly good one already? I mean, have you ever been in this? It's quite a unique situation for us. I wonder, have you ever been in this situation where a club has fallen out with the owners of a perfectly good stadium that they've got and have come to you and said, "Can you build us another one?" Have you ever done that before?
It's not a thing we've done in the past now.
And how easy is that to professionally to sort of because inevitably people like me will ask you difficult questions where you think, I'm not really quite sure how I answered that. It's a difficult line to tread, isn't it, for you guys as architects?
No, yeah, totally. It is very difficult. As you said about football, it's all about emotion. We've been approached by our clients to produce a design as architects. That's what we're actually following through. So.
Final question for you then. What likelihood, maybe in percentage terms, if you want to express it like that, do you think that this will be built? The two designs that we've got, I mean, are they literally just kind of out there, or do you think it could be quite close to either of those two designs, do you reckon?
I think it can be very close to the two designs that we've been looking at. All I can say is that the club have been very positive with all their instructions they've given to us about going forward on the design, and we've been pushed hard to produce these designs for them, so I see it as a very positive